You're listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently from Jen Du Plessis, America's Mortgage Mastery mentor with over 37 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. Jen has been mentoring loan officers and realtors for over 15 years and speaking on stages across the globe. So settle in and get ready as Jen and her guests share their experience, passion, and strategies to help you crack the top producer code to reach new heights in your business. And now, here's your host, Jen Du Plessis, Mortgage Mastery Mentor and head chick in charge of Kinetic Spark Consulting.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Today I have with me Matthew Teifke.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
I've been practicing it for like an hour. Matthew Teifke, he is one of the co-owners, but founder of TRE Realty, which is Teifke Real Estate Company in Austin, Texas. And he's joining us today for a couple different reasons. One, he was introduced to me by one of my dear friends, Lou Diamond, who many of you have seen in a variety of different places with me and Lou. And so that's the first reason. The second is that he is an accomplished real estate agent. And I thought that this was a good time to bring on, and I, brought on real estate agents before, and we'll continue to do that as well as loan officers and other people. That he's been very successful doing real estate and quite different than the average real estate agent. And this is why I brought him on. So he's gonna share his whole story with us. So welcome to the show, Matthew. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. I have a lot of fun doing stuff like this, and it's an honor, and I know it's a lot of work, what you do to keep this rolling. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'll tell you, we January 1st, it'll be 6 years that we've had this podcast.
Wow.
It's the longest running in this space. And I guess I'm one of the veterans. That's what they tell me, in this whole space. So yeah, it is. It's a lot to do it. And because I have 2 podcasts, it's even more. Even more. But I'm always excited to do it because it is so fun to meet so many people across the United States and all over the world, quite frankly. I mean, I've interviewed real estate agents in the UK, and you should probably listen to that podcast. It's pretty interesting stuff. Or not in the UK. He was actually in Australia. They do things really different. But
I've heard.
They do.
Especially with property management, I've heard it's a totally different system as well.
Yeah, it's different. And real estate agents are either sales agents or listing. You can't be, you have to choose what you're going to be. So you can't just choose per deal. You have to actually choose what you're going to be. And he's just a buyer's agent. He doesn't do any listings. And there's only like 2,000 buyer's agents in the whole country.
Interesting.
The rest are listing agents. He's a buyer's agent and he only helps investors. That's all he does. He helps people build their portfolios. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I'd rather be in Texas.
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
sure.
I know.
Cool.
He'd do really good. Yeah, he'd do really good there. So you have a management company. You have some ownership in a management company and a real estate firm and a construction firm, some development and things like that. Tell us how you got started. Give us kind of a background on how you got started in real estate and how long you've been in real estate now.
Yeah, so it really started at an early age. Very blessed to have been able to see how things work in the real estate industry. When I learned, you put a down payment, you get a mortgage, someone else pays it off, 20 years later, you own it all, 20, 30 years, whatever. I was fascinated. And so my mom was a single mom, and we moved. I was born in Cleveland. I moved to Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin when I was 3 years old. And my mom was working at an asphalt and paving company. I still honestly don't know how she raised my brother and I, worked a full-time job and bought real estate. But she worked hard, and I saw a lot of sacrifices, and I saw what it took. But over time, she bought 2 properties, about 2, kind of, varied a little bit, but per year for a 8, 9, 10-year span. And did well, made a lot of sacrifices, also was fortunate to be in a great market. And so I grew up working at the asphalt company that she worked at, and I was doing the paving and the striping and the asphalt, the hard labor. I enjoyed it. I felt really good after putting in a day's work like that, but it just wasn't enough for me. I just always had this like, want to do my own thing, want to be my own person, be entrepreneurial. And I saw that real estate could allow that if you did it right.
Yeah.
So really, I remember being, 16, 17, doing some evictions, doing some of the actual work on the houses, and just really, really opened my eyes to this is something that, and it's funny, I've come to a revelation. I used to say I'm so passionate about real estate, and I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. I'm 29 now. But what I realized is I'm not actually passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about what real estate can allow.
Yeah.
And I really realized that like 2 weeks ago. Um, and so basically, was around it. When I graduated high school, I told my mom, hey, I just want to get my real estate license and not go to college. And she said, absolutely not. You're going to college. You can do that, but I'm cutting you off. And so I was very blessed that my mom was able to pay for my school. I didn't have to get student loans. If I did, I honestly don't think I would have gone to school. Not that I am recommending that one way or another, but went to school in Corpus Christi, South Texas, and I still decided to get my license. My sophomore year, I got my real estate license, and it was like, I remember like literally like crying. It sounds funny saying it now, but it was such a big deal for me to get that. And my first year, I usually don't dress like this. Sometimes I do. I'm pretty casual, like flip flops, and
I know I've seen on the YouTube your YouTube
yeah,
videos,
and you can get away with it in Austin. It's a different environment here.
Yeah.
But I was dressing like this and going to school, and I just could not wait to get out of class to go work at my brokerage. And my whole thing was, I've always been an extremely dedicated hard worker. I'm going to be the first one in, last one out. And that's what I was doing for that. It was a local brokerage in Corpus, and I got the rookie of the year. And I'm very proud of that because I was a full-time student, and
that tells you something, right?
Yeah. So I just hustled, and I
Mhm.
loved it. I was the TAMUCC realtor. Will help you find your apartment. It's totally free. Seller pays my commission. I was one of the few people that was doing that. So I was able to get a good amount of clients. I was just working with all the students. And my grades started slipping because I was only focused on real estate.
Yeah.
And then what happened was my junior year of college, I learned about a master's degree of real estate from Texas A&M University in College Station. I was at Texas A&M in Corpus Christi, which is totally different.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to get into any kind of prestigious schools out of high school. I was more focused on like sports, and I did decent, but didn't have like super high GPA. And so I was like, man, I would absolutely love, because I've always wanted to do things as good as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm competitive in a lot of ways. And so I was like, in my mind, I was telling myself, I want to be the best. I want to be the youngest and the best. And if anyone's my age and has done more than me, that's going to piss me off, And so I wanted to get this master's degree because I knew I wanted to be in real estate. And I was like, this is going to help me be a step ahead and push this to the next level. So I started really, really focusing my junior and senior year. Still was doing real estate, just not nearly as intense as I could. But I had to get my grades up because getting into A&M is somewhat of a prestigious school. It's not easy. And I was just thinking, I'm not coming from it was affiliate school, but there's people that go to that program that come from way better schools. And so I was like, I got to get my grades up, and hopefully me having this experience and this background will make me a little bit unique to get accepted. And so what happened was when I graduated, I had an 8-month wait to see if I got accepted into this program in College Station. And I went back home to work for a commercial brokerage called Don Quick, and just learned. And to back up just a little bit, the one thing that I've always done really good at is finding mentors. And so at the brokerage I was at in Corpus, I had a guy who was 75 years old. He sat down with me for 1 hour every single day, and we just talked real estate. And then when I went to Don Quick, I did the exact same thing with the broker, and he's got a good name here in the Austin area. So it's just like super committed to learning from people, to doing deals. And then I found out I actually got accepted into the master's program. And that was a big, big deal for me. It's an intense program. Like, it was people that were honestly a lot smarter than me. I got in, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And I just had to grind. I had to go into the teacher's offices after every single class. But it was such a good foundation for the rest of my career. It's all commercial real estate. Everyone that goes to that program has 100% job placement. They go work for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, and they become analysts.
Yeah.
And so I got that skill set, but I didn't want to be an analyst. I wanted to do my own thing. And so I could talk for hours and hours.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to pause.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I think that's good. That's a great pause. It sounds a lot like my son, because he went into finance, but, didn't want to be an analyst, worked at Deutsche Bank up in New York, but just said, I don't want to talk to people. Worked in REITs, at BB&T, right? So yeah, it kind of has that same similar kind of background. So I want to back up just a little bit, and I want to just talk about your mom's investing, because some people don't realize the type of investing that she did is called step investing. And so tell us a little bit about, and so I'll just give you, a quick rundown of what we did. Is we did basically the same thing, at least one property a year, sometimes 2 or 3 properties, a lot of step investing. We were making money, always were making money, being real or loan officers, right? Both my husband and I are loan officers, he still is, loan officers. And so we made money. So all of the proceeds, the positive cash flow from each of the properties went into Snowball to pay them off. So tell us a little bit about her step investing, because someone who's listening may say, well, I'm not a 2-income family. How can I possibly invest if I'm a single person, a male or a female? How can I get started in this and sort of buy a house every year? So what would you be telling people to do that in order to start step investing?
Yeah, I'll try to do my best. I mean, obviously she'd be the best one to talk about this, but my opinion is I really do believe, and it's hard to say blanket statements, but I really believe that anybody can buy real estate, and it just takes a tremendous amount of sacrifice.
Yeah.
My mom was on 2 to 3 phones at any given time, all the time. I have 2 kids right now, and I'm married, and it's still hard to do what I do with kids. She worked in the construction industry as a female, raised 2 boys, and bought real estate. It still kind of blows my mind. I ask her about it sometimes, and she says it's kind of a blur, and she just did what she had to do.
Yeah. Did she do traditional financing when she bought them, or did she immediately go into some, creative situational financing?
She primarily did traditional. She did some hard money, some line of credit. She had a good job, so she was making
good money.
Yeah. And literally just taking everything she made and putting it into real estate. And she told us, she was like, I'm doing this for you guys. These are your properties. So it's very fortunate and blessed to be in that situation.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not like these properties made her a ton of money all the time. They kind of paid for themselves. It was a different time in Austin where it was more affordable. So you could buy a property in cash flow for $500, $600.
Yeah.
Now it's almost impossible here.
Yeah.
So she was doing that at a good time. She got some appreciation, and then she just got the snowball effect of being able to refinance and leverage. And all of a sudden she had an amazing banking relationship, and she had leverage, and she could go buy houses cash with lines of credit.
Yep.
So she just kept doing that. Her biggest strong suit, in my opinion, and it's funny because I still don't think my mom knows that much about real estate. I think she just did a great job of getting a great team.
Yeah.
She had a realtor that would go knock on people's doors. She had a contractor and a management company that were good friends of hers. And they were actually the people that talked her into doing it.
Yeah.
And so she really relied heavily on them and trusted them. And even still to this day, they don't make her that much money, but she's like 10 years from paying them off completely and having a good amount of money that's just cash flow.
Yeah.
And it was
and that'll help her for retirement. I mean, and that's what we all do this for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a long game. I think there's so many people that think they're going to get rich quick in real estate, and I'm sure you can. But for the most part, I look at it as anybody can do it. Sacrifice, play the long game, do things the right way, do your inspections, build great teams. And I really, like I said, it's hard to make blanket statements, but I really strongly believe that most people can save 10, 15, 20 grand a year if they want to make that sacrifice, if they don't want to go to the bars, if they don't want to go out to restaurants, if they don't go on vacations. And that's not for everybody. But if you do that, you can start buying, one a year, one every 2 years, and get
which is
tremendous
exactly
benefit.
what we did. Yeah, exactly what we did. We actually bought our first house. We weren't even married. We were both 19 when we bought our first house, and we still have our first house 37 years later.
That's amazing.
And so now we've accumulated multiple properties, over the years. And we did step investing, traditional investing, and then it got too much, right? Because you get into commercial, and now you have to, you can't do traditional financing any place. So you have to find some, I don't want to say quirky, but you just have to find alternative solutions. So I want to go back to, what was your first home? Because obviously, when you get your license at 17, you're not technically legal enough to buy, a property. You could with cash, I suppose, but you couldn't get a loan because you weren't old enough to get a loan. So tell us about your first property that you purchased.
Yeah. So it was good the way it worked out. I bought my condo owner finance in College Station.
There you go.
So I put $10,000 down, it was $61,000, and I had a $520 total payment.
Yeah,
which is amazing. Yeah. But there's like the mindset that I was able to develop because of that owner finance really put me on this creative route of understanding what's out there.
Yeah.
So at this time, I had done pretty well. I made money. I had good credit, and I couldn't get a loan after that from anybody. And it didn't make any sense to me. And so I started in 2011. So I was kind of on the back end of what I hear was, so easy to get loans and all this stuff. And I'm a big risk taker. So I often wonder what I would have been like in that time period.
Oh yeah. If you had lost it all or yeah.
Cause I would have probably taken out a lot of loans, hopefully. And I do believe I would have been smart about it, but I just started learning about hard money, private loans, all these kind of non-traditional ways. Mm-hmm. And now I have a very, very good understanding. I have hard money loans. I have private lenders. I have a line of credit. And like the traditional is just, that's my backup plan for refinancing.
Yeah. To pull some cash out. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I totally get that. So let me ask you this question. I mean, this is one of the things that perplexed me the most, and we're going to kind of transition into, helping loan officers, help realtors, the realtors that are listening in to really jump in this game is, why do you think it is that so many mortgage loan officers and so many real estate agents, because I've been around for a long time in this industry, don't own property? They own their own home. They might own a second home, maybe because they had a good year, so they bought one, and they don't rent it, which is crazy. But why do you think it is that we don't buy our own product? It's like saying, you should buy a Tesla, because you mentioned Tesla a while ago. By the way, my son just gave away a Tesla. He gave one away. I can't believe it. Yeah, in his business, he gave away a Tesla. But so it's like, oh, you need to buy a Tesla. I drive a Chevy, but you need a Tesla. And so when clients say, is this a good time to buy? And we're bobbing our heads and going, yeah, it is. You should buy, but I'm not buying. Why is that? Why is it we don't have our own? We're not buying our own product.
Well, like I said, it takes sacrifice, right? Mm-hmm. It is something that anyone can do, but it's a sacrifice. So that's number one. Not everyone wants to make these sacrifices and do what it takes. They'd rather, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they'd rather go on a vacation once a year than buy a house.
Or buy watches. I'm seeing a lot of loan officers buying expensive watches that aren't going to appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're killing it this year, right?
Yeah. And then I try to make things, you're right, things are easy right now in some ways.
Yeah.
But I try to simplify everything that I do.
Hmm.
And if I had to give you an answer, and it's maybe too simple, but I think it's because they don't want to.
Yeah.
Like that's not what they desire. They may think that they do, but they don't. Because back to what I was saying, I actually do believe everyone can buy real, because I know multiple people that came from nothing, that had nothing, had everything against them, female, black,
Yeah.
illegal citizen, all this stuff, that own multiple properties now.
Yeah.
And my thing is, like, if anyone's done it, uh, that's come from a worse situation or the same situation than you, then you got no excuse. I
Yeah.
fall back on that as my default.
Yeah. It's
So
just, yeah.
that's it. I just think they don't want it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just amazing though, because I mean, I'm just baffled by it because it is what we do and we're trying to help people create wealth. And yet we're not creating that. A lot of people aren't creating that wealth for themselves. So let me ask you this question, related to real estate agents. I know a lot of real estate agents that are realtors, right? They're realtors. But the only type of real estate they do is looking for the first time home buyer and the move up buyer. And maybe they're selling a house because they're going to move. It's such it's almost like a whole universe, right? It's like, it's the earth. They work with the earth. And there's this universe of real estate out there. There's commercial, there's land, there's multifamily, there's fix and flip, there's tax liens, there's so much out there. Why is it that, or what kind of advice could you give to, let me just, instead of why is it, what kind of advice would you give to real estate agents so that, look, they're doing well right now because the market is. But when they aren't, because exactly a year ago, everybody was singing the blues, right? So what's going to happen when COVID leaves us, and we are out back in the market, rates start going up, people start changing things. What are some things that some real estate agents that you would guide, because you have a real estate company, you have 60 some realtors that work for you. What are you guiding them to do to ensure that they've got some revenue streams to get them through the next time, to tap into and start looking at opportunities?
Yeah, we promote it hardcore. We have 4 calls, free training calls. We tell everyone, come join. Anyone from around the country. We're doing these calls 10:30 Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're gonna promote making money on every aspect of real estate. You
Yeah.
gotta diversify, play the long game. And I heard this quote recently, and I love it. And it's he or she who experiments the most wins.
Yeah.
And I like trying things out, and you're diversifying in that sense. So you just have to step back and realize, like, the reason that I started a property management company was because I hated the idea of I'm going to be a real estate agent and make commissions here and there. Like,
Yeah.
that was scary. So I wanted to start with creating something that was stable and consistent, and then go take some risks on top of that.
Yeah.
So, we got about 750 doors that we manage, and it was a lot of work. I compare management to being in the trash business. It's
Yeah.
like, it's the job that nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
It can be really good money. It's a
Yeah.
thankless job. And so you just have to step back and, like, strategize. Like,
Yeah.
how do you perceive to live when you're only selling real estate on referrals? I mean, yeah, you can only be an agent, and people are great with that, but you got to just, in my opinion, like,
Yeah.
think and try
Well,
to
and
get a lot of things going.
Think and grow rich, right? But this is something that it's prevalent in every industry. It's not just in this one, but is looking for the different revenue streams that could come in. We know that we should all have 7 revenue streams, right? And really working at trying to figure that out. And I know I personally, and you and I were talking about this in the green room, is that I do a lot of subject to. And I've introduced the real estate agents that I used to work with, as a traditional lender. I've introduced those real estate agents to this concept. I couldn't do it when I was a loan officer because it'd be a conflict. Now that I'm not licensed, I go to those same real estate agents and say, hey, look, when you're meeting with a client that has less than 6% equity or has to close their house really, really quickly, and we're going to be exploring that here soon, because people got FHA loans with 3.5% down right before COVID and have lost their jobs and now have to sell, right? And they don't have enough equity to do it. And that's where I can come in and help out and be a win-win-win for everybody. And I pay referral fees for that. And that's perfectly legal to do. It's paying them commission or finder's fee to be able to do that. I'm floored every time I talk to a real estate agent that's going, wait, what? You can do that? Yeah, you can do that. So it's kind of interesting because I find that just so many people aren't as versed in real estate as loan officers who are versed in mortgages. A lot of loan officers are versed in mortgages, right? I mean, it's expansive. Having said that, there are loan officers that have no clue about the type of financing I now do, which is all for investment properties.
Yep. Yeah, there's a whole massive world out there, right? And like, I'd love to give insights on what I think is valuable for lenders. And I think the more knowledge you can get around and the people that you're around that know what you're doing and have those options, I'm a biggest believer in and having as many options as you can. Anytime I put a property under contract, I explore what would it look like to wholesale this? What would it look like to bring on partners? What would it look like to flip this, to rent it, to Airbnb? Like every option is on the table for me. And the more options, the better. And it sounds like that's what you have on the lending side.
Yeah. Because because I do that kind of lending, but it gets back to the comment that you made a while ago about the fact that you had all these mentors around you. You are, and we know this phraseology, right? You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around. And I think that's the same thing with this, is that you are the sum of the different strategies that you have available to you. And that opens up opportunities. I think there's so many opportunities that are left on the table just because of the ignorance of not knowing that there's these other things out there and living in a bubble. And you have exemplified that by, your property management and by your real estate company, as well as your construction company and your development company, saying, hey, look, I can tap into everything. I love that you said Airbnb, because I Airbnb this house that I'm sitting in, my primary residence. And I Airbnb some of our properties that we have said, you know what? We're not doing as well with just plain rentals. Let's Airbnb this guy. And it just gets such a better return. And the quality, the property is in so much better shape because it's getting cleaned every week or so,
You're right. Absolutely. And, I think there's no excuse because everything's out there. You're talking about it. I'm talking about it. We're 2 people. My wife and I lived in 8 houses in 2.5 years. And we owned all of them, and we still do. And that's what allowed us to do that, is we were able, that's back to the sacrifice. Nobody wants to pick up and move every 2 months, but we did it, and it allowed us to acquire properties and get good loans and fix them up and then turn them into rentals. So there's so much info out there, and there's so many people that are doing it and that do it for free and guide people. And so, just listen to and get out there. But the thing about me is, like, honestly, I'm probably the biggest risk taker that you've ever met or anyone's ever met. Where it used to be a problem, gambling, big time gambling. And I've tried to channel that risk taking into what I really know and understand. And it's worked out pretty well.
So what's ahead for you as you're thinking about 2021, and we have loan officers and realtors thinking in here, what's ahead for you? What are some thoughts that you have ahead from everyone else? And then I want to leave with the final question of, if a loan officer is listening to this, how would you recommend that they introduce real estate agents to work with them and be partners with them to explore things together so that they don't feel like they're on an island by themselves? So let's start with, what do you think is happening in 2021? And then what advice do you have for loan officers to help real estate agents?
Yeah. So my goal for 2021 is to keep our businesses growing, construction, management, brokerage, wholesaling. And I'm trying to get 2 big properties next year. I have one right now under contract. It's 14 unit mobile home park. And I want to do one more. And the goal is, the goal is very specific, which is not usually that way for me. I'm kind of just run my head through the wall, grow, talk about things later. But this is like my goal for 2021, just on the ownership side, is I want to get $10,000 a month in cash flow from 2 properties.
Yeah.
To the lender side, it's interesting to me. What I've realized is, because I have a ton, obviously people reach out to me all the time. We have a ton of agents. Very rarely do I see lenders give referrals to agents. And my understanding is that's hard, because the clients usually start with the realtor for the most part.
Which
so
is,
I
don't understand that. Yeah, right.
yeah,
That's
the way it is. And I guess my biggest advice, because I see this every day, I told you we do these training calls, and I get lenders to come on and join, or I'm a huge, massive networker, coffees, lunch with anybody. I strongly believe that like 90% of people play the short game.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many lenders come on our calls and like promote themselves on a 1-hour call. And I'm like, what are you actually think that would work? You got to show up every day and add value every day. And so don't be the lender that, calls someone and wants to be their lender and buys you coffee one time, and that's it. It's so short-sighted.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir, because everyone who's heard me for 6 years, I can't stand that. Yeah.
Good.
We call it show up and throw up, and there's no rule that says that loan officers can't do client acquisition on their own and give business to realtors. And from my perspective, why do loan officers wait to get business from realtors when most realtors do 12 deals a year? Why am I waiting for you? And I don't mean it badly against you, because I know you're doing more volume, but for me as a loan officer, I'm not waiting for real estate agents. I'm going out and I'm doing my own client acquisition. But I also think that, and this is the way that I had phrased that question, was there is an opportunity for two people to get in the same boat instead of each person being in a different boat and throwing fish back and forth, to get in the same boat and sort of move together and learn together, invest together, partner together, so that they can learn different ways to manifest each other's business.
Absolutely.
And that's the key, I think, is the key, is a loan officer saying, hey, realtor, have you ever thought of doing something totally different than just selling houses? Have you thought about doing wholesaling? Have you thought about investing? What things have you thought about? And let's find some resources so we can go learn together on how to do that, so we can help each other grow not only our businesses, but our portfolio.
Absolutely. And I don't honestly, I'm sure people feel different ways, but I don't think you have to do that with only one realtor.
No,
you can do that with 10 realtors.
Of course.
And
of course.
yeah. And so I think lenders are in an awesome position, because my opinion is it's actually kind of challenging to become a lender. It's really easy to become a realtor. And so there's less competition. There's a little bit of a moat. And then I always fall back on, how are you being different? I am like, back to experiment the most. What are you failing at? Because that's what's probably going to be exciting on what's coming next. And so like, are you doing everything you possibly can? Are you experimenting? And the networking is massive.
Right. Or are you just,
like you said, you preach on it, like, yeah. So, I mean, I can't really think of any that right now that I know in Austin that are just like doing like exciting, cool things. I have great lenders and people that I trust and like, but nobody that I feel like is pushing the limits. And like, that's what I always want to do, is like, how can I like push the limits? So if you can think of ways to do that and be creative, Facebook Live, YouTube channel, like just go test things out.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing.
And people are, so many people are afraid of failure, but failure, when you're failing, it's demonstrating that you're actually trying. And I don't like
people not thinking I'm a little crazy. Like if everything seems normal, if I'm not, my family's like, you're moving again? Yeah, I love it.
We are.
If they think that I'm being normal, I don't like it. Like I want to be pushing the limits on anything and everything I'm doing.
Yeah. And it's an example of why you're so successful, because you're shining a light on what makes you different. I talk about this all the time with my coaching and students all the time is, what makes you different? Why should I choose you? And I coach realtors too. So it's like, why should I choose you? Well, I'm going to put your house in the NMLS. Well, sorry, not NMLS, the MLS. And yeah, okay, that's expected. What makes you different? Why should I pick you? Well, right? There's a lot of that, And so I really help people brand themselves, to be a little bit different. And this is one of the things, this investment piece here is one of the things that I'm teaching my entire group of students right now, is how to be an investor yourself and how to explore these other opportunities that are out there, so that when you have something that comes across your desk, you can bring something new to the real estate agent and say, I can't do this traditional, but there is a way to get this done. And here are the people that can help you get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And
right? You can't do it. Yeah,
totally. And the other thing, is, you can be different to make money, but it's being different to just be different. Nobody wants to be the same. At your core, just go feel good about trying something out. Think about the money later.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. There's so many ways to approach it. And depending on your market, I don't know, you could be a lender in 50 states, probably get all these different licenses. What do you want to do that's going to make you different?
Yeah. I have this in front of me all the time. Be
there
yourself.
You go.
Be yourself.
Yeah, everyone else is
taken, right?
Yeah.
And and I try to remind it sits here on my desk every day. It's like, be yourself. Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. If I'm excited about something that's just crazy, I'm excited about it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Matthew, listen, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time with me today, and twice today, because we also did a Facebook Live. So go check out my Jen Du Plessis business page. It's at Jen Du Plessis 22. That's my business page. Like us and follow us. And in there, I do something called Getting Real with Realtors. We do just little quick things with real estate agents, just so that we can get to know them a little better and see why they tick and how they tick. And it's really for you too, so that people can see you out in the big bad world, because I share it all over the internet to help your business grow as well. And I just want to say thank you so much. So if someone's heard this and they're in Austin, or they're not in Austin, but they want to get on these calls, or they want, it's a real estate agent, they're saying, heck, I want to go work with this company. How do we get in touch with you? What is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, easy, very easy. I'm TeifkeRealEstate.com. My email is mattteifke@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I really just want to be a resource here in Austin, Texas, Central Texas. My last thing I was just thinking about is just go impress people. If you're going to impress a realtor or a client, things are going to work out well for you. And then people can get a hold of me on my cell phone if they want. 512-914-4806. Would love to support your listeners, and just play the long game.
Awesome. I absolutely love that. And I was smiling when you said impress, because one of the things I teach both to realtors and to loan officers is something called a partner impression program, a PIP. And it is, instead of showing up and throwing up, instead of one and done, you have a meeting, and now there is a process behind there to impress that partner for a period of time and stay in touch. Just exactly what you're talking about. So I love that you said that, because that just brought it all in. So thank you again so much, Matthew. I wish you the best of luck going forward. It's the sky's the limit. You're young, you have all this ahead of you. So I just wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Be sure to subscribe to hear more sales tips, ideas, strategies, and tactics to help you with your personal and professional growth to multiply your results in record time. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Wanting more beyond the podcast? Join our Mortgage Lending Mastery membership community, where you will find extended interviews with our favorite guests, weekly training, tips, and insider secrets, fireside chats with Jen, free content, meet, share, and collaborate with other members, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about this exclusive content. Mortgage Lending Mastery is an Industry Syndicate charter podcast. Industry Syndicate is the first podcast network specifically for the mortgage and real estate industries. Get the Industry Syndicate app in the App Store or Google Play today.